Hi, so here we are. I'm making a video in my car while I'm driving home because I've just been so busy and I just don't know, I don't want to say I don't have time to make a video, but with my kids, especially with my baby, I just, I'm not able to consistently make a video and upload it and do all this stuff as much as I have been. So today is, I guess it's April 7th, which is, who knows, it's been about, I guess I got home from my water fast maybe like March 20th or something like that. So that being said, I guess I'm like 3 weeks out from coming home. Maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. I don't know. What is the math on that? And things have been just like super interesting. I was supposed to get a port put in yesterday, and what's really mind-boggling is that I was gonna get a port put in Arizona, and it was like clockwork. It was so easy. By the way, everything at the Sedona Wellness Retreat is so much easier than anything you'll ever experience probably with any other doctors anywhere else. There's just no red tape to cut through. And so I was gonna get this port put in, not at their facility, but they wrote me a referral, and like I was gonna get one like 2 days, like within 2 days of getting a referral, or a couple days of getting a referral. But I didn't want to do that because it was like surgery, and like I was supposed to have someone pick me up, and it was in Flagstaff and instead of Sedona, and I just was like, no, like I really wanted to go home and be with my kids and my husband, and I want to get a port put in where my husband could be supporting me. And so then I came back here, and I wasn't doing any of my IV therapies because I was waiting to get this port put in. And it was like taking forever for everything, and I felt really frustrated that this bottleneck was happening. But then it all like worked out, and I was on the schedule, and my insurance was basically covering it, and everything was all hunky-dory. And I felt so much peace and excitement about getting it. And then I went to go get it, and I scheduled at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I got there at 6 a.m. and I felt super peace and serenity about it. And then the doctor came in, and I was like in my gown, and they like took my stuff and like locked it up, and like I didn't, I'm like basically like there and ready, and we're like about to do it. But then the doctor came in and started talking to me, and he was like, look, like, and he didn't say like this like word for word, like, but this was the gist of what he was saying was, am I getting this for chemotherapy? And I said, like, I'm open to chemotherapy in the future, but like not immediately. And what he basically said was that the benefits of getting a port outweigh the risk for chemotherapy, because he believes that chemotherapy is like gonna cure my cancer, but all of these other things that I might be using the port for, such as high dose vitamin C, or whatever, it's not gonna cure my cancer. And he really doesn't know about all these other things as to whether or not the risk of getting the port would outweigh the benefits. Okay, fine, but like he like was pretty adamant about like, like this could be fatal. Like this is a big deal. Like this isn't a small deal. Like you're putting this thing, it's like going into a vein that like goes to your heart, and if it gets infected, it could be fatal. And not only that, but like you're gonna have scar tissue forming around this thing. And that scar tissue can also be like scar tissue that goes like into your veins, and like some people get like their hands can swell and their face can swell, and like all these like things can happen. And like really he recommended that like I don't leave it in any longer than I absolutely have to. And what I was originally thinking was, okay, well, I'll get the port put in, and I'll get all these IV things, but then, you know, if later I need chemo, then, you know, I have a port or whatever. But like, basically he was saying the longer that it's in, the risk increases, you know, for any complications. And so his recommendation was that, like, if I wanted to do, because I'm supposed to be doing like a 12-week high dose vitamin C 3 times a week. His recommendation was that, like, I would know at the end of that 12 weeks, like, whether or not I'm going to do chemo, like, soon, and be, like, moving into the chemo soon afterwards, to, like, you know, do the chemo, or not, or something. Like, I felt, like, super overwhelmed, especially because his position was kind of like, well, it wasn't kind of like he specifically said, is like, oh, that's great, you want to do all these other things, but they're not going to cure your cancer. Which I just feel like a little bit of confusion around anyways, because I just feel like, how do you know what's going to cure my cancer? Like, you're not God, you know? Like, there's lots of people who chemo didn't cure their cancer, and there's lots of people that didn't get chemo and they had their cancer cured. Like, you know, like, it doesn't, you know, it's just, you know, it's just kind of interesting. And he was so nice, and I really appreciate him. Like, I'm not, like, bad mouthing him. Like, he was super nice and super helpful, and I'm super glad he came in and talked with me. But I did just feel like a little, like, overwhelmed by, like, this, like, oh, it's like, oh, this is the system, you know, like, that everyone is trained in, like, the standard of care, you know. And so just, like, that was, like, super overwhelming for me. But then more than anything, like, just his, like, position of, like, you know, like, you could die, which is true, like, and this is valid, and I appreciate it. But it's like, you know, I guess it just felt like, look, like, I don't want to die trying to save my life, you know, especially because, like, I was planning on, after some people I talked with and looked up and researched, it seemed to me that after a month of having it in, I could go back to, like, the hot spring, and I could go back to doing all the things I love. I go to the sauna almost every day right now, and I go to the hot spring once a week with my daughter, and I go to the hot spring once a week with my husband. And so I just was like, dang, like, you know, I don't know, like, I guess I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. Not to mention they showed it to me, and, like, the tube that they stick, like, into the vein is, like, huge, by the way. Like, the one that, like, goes in, not the vein in my arm, like, but the one that, like, goes onto the port, that like, actually then gets inserted into the vein, was, like, super big. And the guy kept saying too, he's like, you know, it's a piece of plastic in your body, and, like, the more it gets, like, poked, like, the more it wears out. Like, it's not like a thing, you know. I don't know, like, and so then I, like, wanted to pray and meditate on it, and the whole thing was super funny, because I don't want to say funny, but I thought it's kind of humorous, is because I didn't have my phone or anything, and so I was like, okay, so I had to just, like, go inward, and I prayed and meditated, and I was like, okay, like, is it possible that we just, like, give me 225 bags, or, I mean, two bags of, like, 25 grams of vitamin C instead of doing, like, a 50? Like, if you can do 25 grams in a bag, right? Like, in a 750 milliliter bag of fluid into my arm, like, can I just, like, get it twice as long and let it, get it diluted, you know, even more, such that, like, I have to sit there twice as long getting it into my vein. But, like, maybe, you know, like, what's the worst that happens if I don't get this put in, and we could do high dose vitamin C through my IVs in my arm again? You know, I definitely didn't like doing it in Sedona, but, like, I wouldn't die, you know, and, like, I could still live my normal life to some extent, you know, like, I don't know, maybe, you know, I don't know, so then I was like, I need to get it on the phone. So I got on the phone, I called my husband, which was super interesting, because my husband had, like, been a jerk to me the day before, and he's just like, oh, I'm really sorry, I was a jerk. I'm like, look, I'm not talking about you being a jerk right now, like, I got to problem solve this. And so we talked about it, and then I called the nurse at the facility, that I'm going to get the IVs. And at least this facility is really great. Like, yes, it was a little bit of a problem with my port or whatever, and that was a little challenging. But the facility is like pretty good. And I was able to talk directly with the nurse that like is going to be doing my IVs, and we were talking about like diluting it and doing this and doing that. And I was like, can we use other veins? And you know, she said no, but yeah, like it was just really nice. And I had to like use their phone. I had to like use this like old like Nokia style 20-year-old phone or whatever that they had for patients, I guess, in that situation. So I didn't get the port put in, long story short, and I don't know, maybe that was a good idea, maybe that wasn't a good idea, I don't really know. I am looking forward to going to the hot spring tomorrow with my husband, and I am looking forward to going to the hot spring on Tuesday with my daughter, and that's all I know for now. I will say also, I met with, this is like another thing, like, I will say also that I met with an oncologist a couple of days before I was supposed to get the port put in. And when I met with this oncologist, it was kind of overwhelming because she was very nice. She was super nice. But, you know, she was an MD, like most doctors are, and she believes in the standard of care, and she said kind of what I already presumed a little bit anyways, based on other conversations I had with other MD doctors, which is that she has nothing to offer me until after I get a mastectomy on this side, and she wholeheartedly recommended getting a mastectomy and as soon as possible because you know, right now it could just be stage 0 DCIS. And she said she's actually had someone in the past who, you know, 15 years ago, who had a tumor the size of mine, and they took the whole thing off and they put it in the blender and they looked at every single cell, and it turned out that it was completely only stage 0 cancer. And so therefore the standard of care protocol is you don't have to do any chemo, quote unquote have to. You don't have to do any chemo or radiation for that. Not that I would be super interested in doing it even if it came back stage 3 anyways, but whatever. Because, you know, I don't like the idea of poisoning my entire body to get rid of the cancer, so whatever. But that was like super, it was just overwhelming. It was just really overwhelming because she, you know, she had the same position too. She said the same kind of thing about some of these other things that I was doing. She's like, yeah, it's all great that you are doing all these things to strengthen your immune system, but it's not going to cure the cancer. And, you know, oftentimes I know that I can bring a horse to water, but, you know, I can't make it drink, so I don't try, you know, and I don't have to go to the hardware store and try to get milk, you know, like I could see like where her mindset was and where she was thinking. And the way that I see it is like, well, I don't know that chemotherapy or radiation or any of these other drugs that she might have to offer would be curing my cancer anyways, you know, like I don't know if I believe in like those things curing my cancer. But she was able to pretty much say with confidence that like these other things won't cure my cancer. And what I made up about that is that she thought that like the medicine that she could offer me would, if I had, you know, a higher grade than stage 0 cancer. Anyways, she felt my love bugs, and she was really happy that like they weren't adhering to my chest wall and blah blah blah, and you know, they weren't like breaking through the skin, and so like that was all great. But yeah, like I just you know, it was just really overwhelming for me to have that experience and then to move into the situation with the port. Yeah, it's just really interesting. I actually just left a hyperbaric oxygen therapy chamber, and it's ridiculous because it's ridiculously expensive here in Colorado Springs. Can't even imagine. Basically, my understanding of cancer is like dollar signs. I've already spent, I have at least $25,000 soon to go on $30,000, like, and it's only been, you know, a little over 2 months since my diagnosis. And again, you know, mine and my husband's life savings takes on a whole new meaning when you're actually using it to save your life. So anyways, yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good, you know. At least what God told me was, like, I could always go back and get a port put in, like, when and if I want to. And I'm feeling pretty good just today about this decision. I'm still staying on my ketogenic diet. I'm taking my ketones and glucose and stuff with my Keto Mojo every morning. Oh, this is exciting. I also started my mistletoe. So I've been having to do self-injections of mistletoe, and it's been going very well. I mean, it sucks giving myself a shot, I'll tell you that. But yeah, like, I'm doing it, and it's okay. Like, I'm a warrior, and I'm doing all the stuff that I need to do. And I started that, so today's the 7th. I started that on March 30th, I guess. I started it like the Thursday of last week. Yeah, so I started that on Thursday of last week, and it's going pretty well. At least I'm, like, doing everything I'm supposed to do with that. And it's exciting. I haven't noticed any changes in my breast regarding it, but I did one on Thursday, and then Saturday, Sunday, and then I did 3 Tuesday, Wednesday. So I've only done 6 shots so far. Let me turn that back on. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful. Like, I'm glad I'm doing it, and I'm about to start increasing the dosage pretty soon. And I have set up next week, and it took you know, too much longer than it should have, but I have set up for next week IV therapy all throughout the week, acupuncture throughout the week, and I think hyperbaric oxygen therapy throughout the week as well. So and I'm going to be going to the sauna, and I'm doing yoga and meditating, and I'm eating all this you know, grass-fed, grass-finished beef, some chicken, some duck, not very much chicken actually, but some duck and fish, and drinking a lot of bone broth. And actually this weekend, so what I've been doing the last 2 weekends, I fasted and I drank only water. But this weekend I'm actually gonna drink bone broth because I've been losing weight. Like, I'm losing weight, I think. So and it's not cachexia, and it's okay. I'm like I'm fluctuating between 105 and 110 pounds, I think. It just depending on, like, you know, how I get weighed and what I'm wearing. But yeah, so I'm trying not to, like, lose a lot of weight because I don't know, because I'm actually trying to build muscle mass. I'm actually lifting weights in the morning too. So I'm doing yoga and I'm lifting weights as well. So long story short, I'm just trying to, like, you know, keep my caloric intake high enough that I can really, you know, have a healthy body system, you know. So anyways, I feel really good. Otherwise, other than I've had some conflict with my husband recently, and man, when that happens, I'm just like, whoosh, I'm drained. I'm like super codependent, and I'm like a historical love addict. And so I can just totally be reactive to my husband, and I really need to figure out, I've been praying to God, like, to heal my marriage and to heal me so that I can just move into love and compassion for my husband, and for myself, and just kind of, like, let things roll and let things slide and not assign too much value to them. So anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here, and I will continue to update you on my journey. Bye.